wherever you live in America. Be it in the city or out in the country, there is wildlife like raccoons, skunks, and opossums, providing an important service by eating the creepy crawlies that would otherwise overrun our homes. When a wild animal is orphaned or injured, they're taken to wildlife rehabilitators like Tina Davis of Petri's Place in San Antonio, Texas. They are the friends of the wild. A local family made a disturbing discovery. They found 9 baby opossums, but their mother had died.
They're in bad shape.
The orphans are brought into the sanctuary where they can get cleaned up, something to eat, and assessed for any health concerns. Fleas are a major concern for opossum joeys this small. We don't know when the last time these little guys have eaten, but that doesn't stop the fleas from trying to eat them alive. Fortunately for these orphan opossums, the same bath they need to get cleaned up contains the gentle baby shampoo that will kill the flea invaders.
This is so bad.
Though with a flea problem this severe, it'll certainly take a few baths before they're fully removed. Now that their first of many baths is completed, they can finally have a bite to eat.
Hi, I'm Tina Davis. I am the rehabber here at Petri's Place, and I've been interested in animals since I was a little bitty, trying to rescue squirrels and sparrows and anything I can get my hands on. And I've never been afraid of possums. I've always loved them, and that's where Petri's Place comes from. It's actually named after my first opossum rescue, Petri. I started Petri's Place after realizing that the possum rescue wasn't a one-time thing. So I had to get my license and all of the state-required permits and setting up an actual facility, which actually started in my dining room. This all started after we had a Valentine's party a few years ago, and after a few drinks or more, we started talking about how cool it would be to have an opossum as a pet. Knowing that we cannot have them as pets, there was nothing really more to come of that conversation. But after she found one in the parking lot and called early one morning and asked if I wanted to babysit it, I asked if I could keep it. By the time she got here, we had a full setup. I'd already been on the Googles to figure out how to feed it, how to keep it alive, and then what was going to happen next. Turns out that I wasn't the only one that was finding possums right around then. I got a call where at the veterinary office, a mama possum had been killed by a dog, and there were some babies that needed a new home. So I gladly took on that task. Right about then is when I realized this was going to be a nonstop thing. And that's when Petri's Place was born. In the beginning, just having Petri and one other was no big deal. It was in a small cage on my desk in the office, and I was able to, stay quiet and monitor and keep up with it. But as the set from the vet came, it started to get a little bit wild. I set up a cage in the dining room. No one's ever really in there, so that became the ticket for more cages to go into the dining room because nobody was ever in there, and then only opossums were in there. It's baby season, and until this year, my record was 47 babies in care, and right now we're sitting at 81. And about 5 more on the way. At the rehab, I take in any small wildlife that is native to Texas, mammals, but I specialize in opossums. Not all come in good condition. In fact, some might come in injured with cat bites, they might have been hit by a car, or even fly strike. And fly strike is something that we have to address pretty immediately, and if not, it can not only impact that animal, but it can also spread to the others in the rehab center. Fly strike is when a fly has had access to the animal, whether it's their injury or just their being so small, and they start laying their eggs. this process happens very, very quickly and can cause some severe damage. Wildlife rehab, especially for home rehabber, is all self-funded. So as more baby opossums were coming in, it started to get really expensive, and I was funding that all on my own. To make it legal, I had to stand up the nonprofit so I can take in donations from others in order to keep this going. Otherwise, all of this would come to a crashing halt. I live on 3 acres, and I would like to eventually see a lot of the property behind the shop and sanctuary turn into a wildlife garden and a place for animals to live out their long-term care. Some of them will not be releasable, and so having a large garden and sanctuary with additional cages and pens would be amazing for Petri's place. I have a couple more years before that permit comes in, so I have plenty of time to build up. Some people call me the crazy possum lady, but I'm the opossum queen. Nobody here's crazy. We get community support for Petri's place in a couple of ways. One is monetary donations, which we depend on heavily. Others are driving up and dropping off supplies, anything off of our wish list. And then some of our favorite time is Community Day with Petri. We build and make enrichment items. We create toys and things to send to other rehabbers. We do a little sewing, and we have a lot of fun. Another way we get community assistance is with volunteering. There are 81 babies and growing right now, and there's a lot of poop and a lot of cleaning, and a lot of feeding, and more cleaning, and it never stops. Opossums play a huge role in our ecosystem. Without them, we will be overrun with ticks, snakes, mice, rats, basically all the ugly, creepy, crawly things that nobody wants in their house. That's what they do. That's what they eat. Without possums, we'd be in a world of hurt. When you see an opossum in your neighborhood, just know that he's doing you a service. So instead of being scared and freaked out and trying to run him off, give him a thank you. AJ is one of the mama possums here in captivity. She has 7 babies and is currently sitting in a pre-release pen where the babies can roam around, learn to climb, and rummage for food. So I hide mealworms and other bugs in the enclosure. They look for cat food and basically other things that crawl into that enclosure naturally, like mice and little snakes and other bugs. During baby season, one of the biggest transitions we're going to go through is from syringe feed to pre-enclosure. And that's when the joeys start to develop their skills and their little attitudes, and they go from the formula to the hard food and start climbing around and developing their personalities. From the middle pen, before they get into the pre-release pen, they'll start getting acclimated to the outdoors, the weather, the different temperatures, the sounds, and then in the pre-release pen, they're going to be exposed to as much nature as possible before it's time to be released back into the wild. In a pre-release pen, the opossums are protected from the outside world. They're exposed to the weather and the sounds and the temperatures, but they're not going to be touched by any kind of predators. There's no hawks or other large birds of prey. There are no domestic animals or even just humans that can get to them. Right now during baby season, I have no schedule. There's no work-life balance. It is babies in, babies all day. If you're not cleaning poop, you're looking for the poop to clean, you're cutting up food or feeding them the food, starting from the top. Opossums grow very fast, so the transition from cage to cage has to happen very quickly. They have to go from small enclosures to large enclosures to pre-release enclosures in just a matter of a couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending on how big they were when they came in. Opossums are marsupials, so just like a kangaroo, a baby opossum is going to be called a joey. And joeys are going to be born at about 12 to 13 days gestation and have to make their way from the womb to the mother's pouch and nestle in on one of her only 13 nipples. And considering she can have up to 25 babies, it's a race for the fittest. I have one job, and that is to take care of all these babies, get them back out in the wilderness so that they can eat all of the nasties and keep us all safe. Right now in the sanctuary, there is literally food stored anywhere there isn't a baby. We go through a ton of food every day. There's a freezer full of chicken parts. We have a fridge full of fruits and vegetables, and that's not even all of it. There's mealworms, cat food, and other supplements that take up pretty much all of our free space. And that's not even enough food. Baby season happens to line up with crawfish season. And since opossums will eat just about anything, one of their favorites is crawfish. Crawfish are actually a natural food source for an opossum. They can find them in their natural habitat, whether it be a creek bed or a riverbed. It's one of their favorite things. Just like snakes and mice, crawfish are one of the things that they will seek out, and it makes for a lot of fun when you're in the rehab. Crawfish are found in the opossum's natural habitat. They'll dig them out of the mud and crunch them whole, literally their head first, and move on to the claws and to where there's nothing left. So some of the challenges we have with having so many opossum babies are that they might not be in the greatest of health. They may not be developing as quickly as the others, so it poses a risk for them to remain in the same enclosure, running out of room, not having enough enclosures. They can start to develop metabolic bone disorder if they're not careful with their diet, or they can even maybe cannibalize each other if we can't get them separated in time. Between March and May every year is what rehabbers call baby season. This is when the opossums, joeys, start to grow and creep out of the pouch. We start getting babies in because of car accidents, dog bites, cat bites, or just mama running and dropping one of them little suckers on her way. How do you find a rehabber? In most states, you're going to have a Parks and Wildlife website. Those might be listed there. You can also look on Google and even in Facebook groups. Where I live, there are very few home rehabbers. I am one of the few.
Keeping up with almost 100 baby opossums is no simple task. Babies and juveniles without a mama will have supplements added to ensure they are receiving the required nutrients. Contrary to popular belief, an opossum's diet is very delicate. Tina feeds them high calcium foods, lean meats, fresh fruit, and green vegetables. The goal being to feed the opossums various things so they won't be shy when they're reintroduced to the wild. Foraging is vital to an opossum's survival in the real world, so teaching these skills early is very important. Opossums are nocturnal animals, so as they get older, their primary meal is delivered to them at night. Though younger joeys will need to be fed more often as every 3 hours.
The lifespan of an opossum in the wild is between 18 months and 2 years. In captivity, an opossum can live maybe 3 up to 4 years. Opossum and possum are two different species of animals. They're located in completely different continents, so there is a difference. And the term or word opossum comes from an Indian word, whiteface. And most possums are multicolored. I know it's opossum, but we're in the South, so we say possum. Do you say refrigerator and gasoline? It is okay to say possum. We all know what we're talking about here. An opossum joey is going to remain in the pouch for between 20 and 30 days. Afterwards, it's going to ride on its mother's back for a period of a few months. Unlike baby rabbits, when you come across them in the yard, you can leave them alone because mama bunny is coming back. An opossum mama isn't. So if you see one in the yard, you need to pick it up and call a rehabber. When you find a baby opossum in the yard, you need to collect it, look around for more, and keep it warm. Do not feed it. Do not give it anything to drink. Pick up the phone and call a rehabber. Although opossums are known for eating just about everything that they come across, they actually rely on their mother's milk for the first stages of life to prevent these irreversible health conditions that can set in when a human is trying to intervene. Even though you probably mean well, Keeping an opossum and trying to feed it on your own is probably going to result in that opossum dying or having irreversible health conditions. Is it right for you to keep an opossum as a pet? No, it really isn't. Not only is it illegal, even in the 4 states that allow you to have one as a pet, you can't just snatch something out of the wild and hope for the best. These animals still require a very specific diet and a lot of room to grow. You can't keep it in a cage like a hamster and expect it to go well. If you find a baby, call a rehabber. This isn't a joke. There are a lot of myths and rumors about zoonotic diseases and opossums. Number 1, rabies. They do not carry rabies. They do not carry rabies. They're not a vector species, so it's not even physically possible for them to be born with rabies, like a bat or a raccoon. Now, every mammal can catch rabies, but you're more likely to get rabies from a toddler than an opossum. So y'all, we gotta stop with that. Also, they don't carry many germs and diseases as it is. And so, because of their ugly look, I guess, or the way they hiss or bob their head, it's just easy to apply that rumor to them based on how they look alone. But none of it's true. So we can outlaw all the toddlers and just leave all the possums alone. Even though these babies are hand-fed by me every day, they still bite. They're still wild. And what happens is well-meaning citizens take these babies in, and once it becomes no longer cute, they want to reintroduce them to the wild just so they can go out and get eaten by something else. If you're a die-hard animal lover, there are a few things you can keep in your car just in case you come across an animal that needs help. You can get a plastic container with a lid and drill holes in the top. Put a soft blanket or a soft towel inside, maybe some latex gloves and some hand sanitizer, and if possible, the phone number to a rehabber. Button it all up, keep it in the back of your car, and whenever you come across anything, you're ready to go. When you find a wild animal, you need to take it to a rehabber. Rehabbers work with veterinarians that are specialized in wild animals, so it's very important to understand that you can't take it to just any vet, and the rehabber has had their veterinarian approved by their state in order to have this relationship.
A rehabber like Tina Davis is not a veterinarian. But that doesn't stop injured animals in need of medical care from coming into the sanctuary. Some are simply orphaned or displaced, but others arrive because they are injured. As part of her training to become a licensed rehabilitator, Tina had to understudy with a certified rehabber for 1 year. This training included hands-on labs and medical courses so that she can deal with basic injuries when a full veterinarian is not available. Once training was completed, Tina had to pass an exam from the National Wildlife Association, which paved the way for her eventual certification from the state of Texas. Tina administers pain management medication and works diligently to keep wounds clean so they can properly heal. Despite her years of training, not every animal will survive.
Today was hard. Lost 5 baby opossums today from various litters for various reasons. But when you have numbers of close to 100 in care, that's not an unusual number and it's not abnormal. It's still hard though. 2 others had their ears chewed by other babies from their own litter, and so it's a rough day today. This one here is part of a litter of 9 that came in, not in great shape. 3 were lost from that litter, and this one is hanging in there. We're just going to keep it warm and stimulated and fed and hope for the best. But no matter how the days go, there's a lot of good ones, but as a caregiver, even to animals, you know, it takes a toll. And some days are hard. And today's one of those days. Hello?
Hi, is this the wildlife rescue?
Yes, this is Petri's place.
Do y'all take skunks?
I'll be the one by your side through the good and the hard times, when we're laughing, when we're hurting.
A mama opossum can have up to 25 babies. She only has 13 nipples, 12 in a circle, and apparently a super nipple in the middle. It's not actually a super nipple, but all the camera crew are guys, and so I had to say nipple like 35 times. Wait till you get to the part about the forked penis. We're putting that in.